right, Panther fans, so you're probably wondering, what's he doing in the recap room? Huh? Well, you know, we do this from time to time. Today is a kind of a special occasion. This video is worthy of the recap room. Now, what do you think about that, huh? Thank you, Tom. Tom, Esoteric Veritas, sent me that. There's a video that Kyle and I did. I think it was a live stream or was it a video? I think it was just a video, yeah. Put it out a couple weeks ago, or a couple of you had sent us some items. This was one of the items, so we will be making some further adjustments to the recap room. As you can see, this is a shelving unit that goes that way, so there are things to be placed. Now, the subject of this video, as you can see from however I've titled it, is basically revisiting the Matthew Tkachuk trade, but from a little bit of a different perspective. We know the trade worked out. I think we got that part, right? So in this video, I'm going to do two things. At the beginning portion, I'm going to give you my version of the story about what happened. There's a lot of you that are new to the channel, especially the last couple of years since we started streaming. Some of you may not be aware that what I figured out with the math. The day before the Tkachuk trade went down, I put out a video that basically predicted the exact trade. And there's some insight to how that happened that I haven't even talked about previously with the rest of you that know about that. So I'm going to give you that story. I'm going to share with you what my reaction was going on that day. We'll talk about that kind of stuff. And then in the back end of the video, I'm going to go upstairs and we will go through some of the comments, not just on my video, but some of the comments elsewhere. So, this is a little bit of a long story, so grab yourself a drink. Now, in order to understand the full context of the prediction, you have to understand three things about me. Three things. First of all, up until the last year and a half, I used to suffer from a lot of migraines. Now, I'll still get them every once in a while. Maybe, you know, every couple, 2-3 months, I might get one. But it used to be a regular occurrence where I'd be just out, right, for 3 or 4 days at a time. And it would happen every 3 weeks, every month. I used to get a lot of migraines. And two things were in play there. Number one, throughout my entire life, when I get angry or irritable or irritated or somehow just bothered, I will go on a sort of a rant, a verbal rant, but things that I say while I'm aggravated and frustrated like that and angry, things that I say, things have a tendency to come out of my mouth where a week later, it's like, wait, that just happened. What's going on? So there's some kind of, I don't know, there's some kind of thing where I get mad, I get frustrated, and something comes of it. As an example, there is a video on this channel about Kyle found 11 rolls. He used to go to the banks, and he found 11 rolls of silver. And what it is he likes to do coin roll hunting. So you go to the bank, you give him $100. They give you $100 in whatever coins that are already rolled. You take them home, and you try to find silver or special coins. That's his deal. On this one particular time, I was having migraines, and I had to take him to a dentist appointment, which involved driving over 2 bridges, which was my vertigo, not good. And he asked me to take him coin roll hunting to this one specific bank, and I got very irritated about it. I'm like, I'm not going to that one. I'll take you to the one in Chestertown, all right? I'll just take you to the one in town. And he's like, okay, I guess we'll just go to that bank. Well, we went to that bank. He got his silver rolls, and he found he got 11 rolls of silver $half, and every single one of them was silver. He got 11 rolls of $half to look for silver $half, and they were all silver. All 90% except for the last one, I think was 70%. There's a video on the channel. So the point is that when I get aggravated and pissed off and pissy and all of those things that I say have a tendency to work out well, to happen. So there's that. So that brings us to Anton Lundell, and you're like, what, how? Over the years, I have been a, quote, fanboy of Anton Lundell. And there have been a couple of times, especially during the summer, season's over, there's not a lot going on, you're looking at Twitter for video topics, and I see people wanting to trade Anton Lundell. Not so much anymore, but it used to be a topic of regular conversation. So I already had a video out the year before the Tkachuk trade, very similar in the sense of during the summer, like, y'all stop trying to trade Anton Lundell. Okay? Now, what had happened was, in the week of the Matthew Tkachuk trade, leading up to it, the migraines kicked in. Oh, and it was a doozy. There's migraines I can work with, and then there's migraines where I'm just blind. And unfortunately for me, due to the severity and the length of time that I've had these migraines, the only real medication that works is oxycodone. I can take 2,000 milligrams of acetaminophen. It won't do anything. They've given me the migraine meds. They've given it all to me. Nothing. But opioids will work for me. So, problem is that when I have to take that medication, after about 2 or 3 hours, starts to wear off and I get real irritable and barkish, right? And I'm aware of it. You know what I mean? I'm aware of it. So I know it's like, oh, geez, the crap is coming off my receptors again. So here we are a couple of days before the Tkachuk trade went down. And the summer, not a lot going on. And now I'm dually stressed. I've got the migraines. I'm full of oxycodone and acetaminophen and all sorts of things to try to douse the migraine pain. At the same time, I'm looking at my financials and I'm going, I can't make enough money with the channel the way it is because this was before we started streaming. So I'm irritated as hell. I'm aggravated. I'm frustrated. I'm stressed. I'm all of the things. So what does my dumb ass do? I go to Twitter to look for video ideas. And there it is. With the Tkachuk trade, people talking about the possibility of Tkachuk being available, talking about Anton Lundell as a piece in the trade. And bing! There I went. It was the perfect timing of what people said, the chemical mixture in my head. And I came in here, in front of this wall, and put out a video. The point to the video was don't trade Anton Lundell. That was the point of the video, was stop trying to trade Anton Lundell. Now, what I'm about to play for you is the beginning of the video so you can kind of get an idea of the intro that I did. It looks like I'm going to cry. It's not that I'm going to cry. It's that light when I have a migraine blinding me. So I'm like this. I'm like, oh God, that light is going to kill me, but I'm trying to put out content, right? So the beginning of the video is the intro to what I did, and then you will hear the part about 7 or 8 minutes into the video where I finally said enough and I predict the Matthew Tkachuk trade. So it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I still got a migraine. I'm highly medicated. It's the only reason I'm functional. I get on Twitter, use up about... my eyes have about an hour in them each day right now. I used up 20 minutes of my eye strength reading about how the Panthers Twitter and everybody going crazy about Matthew Tkachuk and what we might be willing to give up. If no Anton Lundell, I'm not even, this is not even up for negotiation. It's just not. But now this would be different, obviously, because we'd have him for an 8-year deal, right? But look, business is business, and Huberdeau is closing in on 30. Now, if you called up Calgary and said, hey, Huberdeau, Uyghur, and give him any other prospect than a first, not Lundell, but Huberdeau, Uyghur, a first, any other prospect. If Calgary said yes, I pull the trigger because I'd rather have 8 more years of Tkachuk than 8 more years of Huberto, because the age difference, just the age difference alone. Okay, so first thing you take from that video is I need to get back in the gym. Huh? 2 years, the last 2 years has not been kind to me. We'll put it that way. But that said, I do still have that sleeveless shirt. So when I get back in shape, I'll put that on. I'll see you next year with that. Now, so there it was. You can see what I was saying. I had gone through a litany of, I'm not so sure about Barkov and Huberto together. I had gone through a bunch of things that I said, and then I get to the point where I'm like, blah. Now, as an aside, before I get into the rest of it, I say any other prospect but Lundell. And what's interesting is that I think it's June 30th. I think that's the date. I'm going to put it here. I think June 30th of that year, I put out my one and only. There's one video on the whole channel where I talk about the AHL guys. I was that desperate for content. And so I made a video, I think it's called Which Young Forward Will Make the Florida Panthers This Season. And wouldn't you know it, the forward I picked was Cole Schwindt. Interesting, right? Okay? For those of you who don't understand, Schwindt was the prospect that they gave up. Now, so we get to the night and the day of the trade. I go to bed early, especially when I'm on the migraine meds, because basically I will medicate myself to get through the day, because at that point we were still listing heavily on eBay. Still kind of are. But the point is that by 8, 9 o'clock in the summer, okay, gone. Just don't. Now, so I guess 11:30, whenever it was, the trade breaks. Everybody having a good time. They had the spaces on Twitter, and Stu was with them. And everybody, hey, where's Jaws? Where's Jaws? Everybody know I'm asleep. Okay, old man's asleep, right? So I wake up, do my normal thing, take the dogs outside, do their potty, come back in, and I pick up my phone, and it's just like a normal morning is like you got like 6 notifications. This was like 48, 52. It was just like, whoa, what happened? What happened, right? So I look at my phone. Of course, I saw Stu's notification first, and I'm just looking at it, and I'm standing there in the kitchen, and Karen is making the coffee. And all I can say is, this can't be real. This can't be real. This can't be real. And she's like, what? It can't be real. That's all I can say. And she's like, what? This can't be real. It's finally, she's like, what? So I'm like, they did the trade. I can't even talk. They did the trade, and it was, I made a video, and I couldn't even explain it. I couldn't even explain it. So this was episode 1 of 2 that my experience of major things happening with the Panthers is completely different from yours. Because while you all were like, whoa, they made this trade, they made, Tkachuk for Huberto, Uyghur, etc., etc. While you were all digesting it from a hockey sense, I'm, for at least 24 hours, just like, but that's what I said. You know what I mean? It was a completely different experience that I had, much like recently where you guys spent a week celebrating with the players down there that they won the cup. Now I'm laying on the floor, literally laying on the floor, sleeping with the dog, begging him to pass away. So your experience of winning the cup, well, it wasn't mine. They need to win again for me to have like a clean experience of that. Because, I mean, like as soon as the live stream ended, I was on the bed with the dog, giving him a hug because he was kind of worried about why all the yelling and screaming was going on. So, all right, so put that aside. So, wake up that morning, and I recorded a video. Some of that I just repeated here, but I'm just going to play this little clip from it. It's going to include the part that you already heard from the original video, but I think it's worth just a second glance because I just still get a kick out of my reaction because I know what was going through my head in that moment. So good morning. A couple of days ago, I made a video, and this is what I said. Business is business, and Huberdeau is closing in on 30. Now, if you called up Calgary and said, hey, Huberdeau, Uyghur, and give him any other prospect than a first, not Lundell, but Huberdeau, Uyghur, a first, any other prospect. If Calgary said yes, I pull the trigger. I'd like to crack the joke and say I wasn't serious, Bill, but I don't know. I have to digest this. All right, so you got that. So that will just always remain, like I say in the book, which I don't have up because I have it in there with me, but like I say in the book, no matter whatever happens, I will always be the guy that predicted the Matthew Tkachuk trade. And we can talk about whatever you want to call it. Predicted, I analyzed the hockey and got it right, lucky guess, coincidence. I'm not married to what anybody believes happened there. What I just told you is been my life experience. If I'm angry and I'm irritated and I say something, you better believe that what I just said is going to happen, because odds are I wouldn't bet against whatever it is that I just said. I would not roll the dice that it's not going to happen. That's just been my life experience. Why that is, when I die and whoever is there, that's the first question I'm going to ask. So, now we get into the days after. And what I'm going to play here is a clip from the press conference, the original press conference with Zito and Tkachuk. And Bill Zito was asked about the timeline of the trade. And so when I heard this and looked at when I produced my video, I have no words.
I think it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday. I got a call from Matthew's agent, Craig Oster, and I reached out to Calgary right away. And at first, I didn't really think it was true. Kind of, come on. And spoke to Brad, and we had a series of discussions. At one point, we spoke. We had a real healthy, a lengthy discussion about everything: hockey, South Florida, life, the Panthers, our future. It was really healthy and interesting. I very much enjoyed it, and continued to speak to Brad, and it culminated on Friday. And once it did, I knew that Matthew and his family were in New Jersey, and we had to keep it under wraps for a few hours, and Friday night, finally, it got approved by the league.
All right, so the trade happened. The trade was announced on Friday. He got the call from Tkachuk's agent on Wednesday. My video came out Thursday. My video came out Thursday morning. That was Thursday morning. That was the morning. I went to Twitter, got irritated. Don't trade Anton Lundell. So what's interesting is that there were two people, and this is totally fine, and I wish this was the truth. There were a couple of people that thought, because of the timing of everything, that I actually had a legitimate inside source that knew about the exact trade, and I was just kind of pretending to predict it because I didn't want to give away my source. Number one, I wish they won't even answer my emails. Like, the Panther PR team won't even respond to me. They're like, screw that guy. So I only wish that was the truth. But when you lay out the timeline, Zito gets the call Wednesday, right? And then they start to, in Zito's words and other parts of the press conference, he continues to say how we really pushed hard. We were going to work hard. You have to give to get. So they were, while I was recording the video on Thursday, Zito was waking up and thinking about, okay, I want to finalize this deal. I want to get this deal done. Who who are we going to give? Now, depending on what you believe, right? What would you like to describe that as? Coincidence? No, I know a lot of us kind of believe that everything is energy and everything is frequency, and there's some truth to that. And so if everything is energy, that means everything that ever was and ever is out there somewhere in some kind of energetic form. So it is I know how this sounds, but it's like I took the oxycodone and then suddenly that made my antenna so that I could pick up the energy of what Bill Zito was thinking, and I came in here and said, Uriel, Uyghur, a prospect and a first, as Zito was thinking, how about Uriel, Uyghur, a prospect and a thirst? There's only so many options of how that can be, and the only evidence I have that it kind of can work that way is if you listen to all the music that everybody made while they were stoned and high on acid in the 70s, right? Whatever that is, if you don't even want to give me any credit, whatever that is, where the guys got high on heroin and whatever, and they made great music, whatever changes chemically in their body that allowed them to create those masterpieces specifically while they were inebriated like that, I believe that same function is what allowed for me to do that. I was on oxycodone, and I'm not gonna lie about it. The only thing that gets rid of the migraines is what it is. I'm not addicted to it. I don't have any issues that way. But when I get that migraine, I take the bottle and I take my one pill, and I'm usually good for an entire day. So basically, when you lay out the timeline, Wednesday the agent called, Thursday I made the video, and by Friday the exact deal that I said on Thursday was done. How that managed to happen is up to any of you and all of us. Whatever you believe, let me know in the comments. I'm curious because when I call it a prediction, it makes it sound as though I was attempting to predict it. I will admit that I had no intention of predicting anything in that moment. I was just talking shit high on oxycodone. That's as honest as I can get about it. All right, so now you know that portion of the story. Now, what I'm going to do now is we're going to go upstairs. We'll get the laptop. We'll go upstairs to one of the other. I got 4 rooms. They're all going to be multi-purposed. You're going to see a lot of new setups this year in terms of different locations where we're filming videos. You guys have sent me so much stuff, I have no choice but to set up other areas because it won't all fit. I mean, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 areas right now, and I got just like stuff that you guys have sent me stacked. I got to get frames, all of that. So you're going to see some changes as we go. So we're going to go upstairs, but I want to preface this. We're going to go through the comments, and we're going to have a good laugh, etc. I want to be very clear, though. I am not making fun of anybody. I'm not calling out anybody. There's some good takes, and there's some laughable bad takes. In my video where I predict the Tkachuk trade, I have somewhat laughable bad takes before I get to the trade. So I'm not immune to this. It's just fun now to look back because I'm pretty sure, I never want to say we can all agree, right? But I would think no matter what end of the political spectrum that you are on, we can all agree at this point Florida won the trade. Can we do that, right? Can we admit that? In fact, if anybody wants to be voted president, I think that would be their platform, is we can all agree the Panthers won the Tkachuk trade. No, I'm not running. All right, so we're going to go upstairs, and we're going to do that, and then we'll come back down here to close it up. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to go through a few videos, and we're just going to lightly scroll through the comments. I've done this a little bit. I haven't looked at every comment. You're not going to read every comment in all these videos. It would be a 5-hour thing. But I'm just going to scroll a little bit. I'm screen recording over here so you guys can follow along. And there's a few comments that there's actually a couple of really good takes. And then there's a few that are not as not as good. But hey, this was a big blockbuster. People were going to have big opinions. So
I want to just preface this again by saying I'm not making fun of anybody. We're all just having fun. All right? So, the first thing I have pulled up here is the Tkachuk press conference with Bill Zito. I had everything else loaded up, and I thought, oh, maybe there were some comments left on that video. And, there's the normal welcome, Matt, welcome, Matt, welcome, Matt. So a Flames fan says this makes me sick, right? And here we go. Get Wrecked 488. I'm not going to use my glasses today. He says, congrats, Florida, on downgrading your offense, defense, and depth for the biggest turtle in the league. Not to mention he's a 70-point guy without Johnny Hockey, but enjoy the contract, though, and then 3 laughing emojis. Yeah, about that. That's tough. That's going to be a tough one. And then, of course, Thomas, I can't read the rest of his name. He says, Zito out with 3 angry emojis, and then Hubie back with 3 prayer emojis. So, couple of not so great takes on that video. Now, I went to the video. I wanted to see if there were any real good takes on this video, on the day I predicted the trade. So the original video where I said Huberdeau, Weegar, etc., etc. And for the most part, it's really only one of any consequence. There's a lot of people coming to the video after congratulating me. Holy crap, you picked it, etc., etc. I really appreciate those. But then there's one, if you guys remember One Bad Steve, he used to be on the channel, was a friend. We had a falling out, is what it is. But his comment, he left it up here, and I love it. He says, Hubie, Weegar, and a first, holy effing overpayment, Eric. Settle down. And then some people came in laughing at him, and he said he'd delete the comment. In fact, I think Trey was one of the ones that was laughing at him. And then, of course, yeah, he did not delete it. I appreciate that, Steve. So that I got a kick out of going back there and looking at that. Tim Black is a good supporter of the channel, says no trade will be made in Zito we trust. And then Jeff, good. He's OG. He's original. He's one of the first 2 or 3 subscribers to this channel, along with Lucas and Dana. He says Lundell is going to be Sean Matthias 2.0, and that's it. Sorry. That look is just special for Jeff. Not exactly Sean Matthias. Not exactly Sean Matthias. Okay, the next video I want to look at is, where is it? Okay, the 7 a.m. reaction. So the morning after, this is that video. And that's really where there's comments where people were kind of picking sides. So, like I said, I haven't read through all these. There's 205 comments. I'm not going through them all. It's a ballsy move. Chili Willie is congratulating the Panthers and giving praise to the channel. Now Tim, who just a couple days ago said there would be no trade, says long term this was the right move. In 3 years, how happy would you be with Hubie at 33 and still having 4 years left on a $10 million contract? In Zito, I still trust. So good take there. Nothing really too. Oh, let's see. I'm happy for Flames fans, but I don't agree with the other markets saying we got fleeced, we being the Panthers. So a good take there. There's people that have come back and talked about how we won the trade and we won the cup and everything like that. More people congratulating me. Jaws, the Panthers whisperer. John Greystone says, throwing the first rounder at the end was insane. Florida needed this, and so did Calgary. The first rounder was just a complete steal. I take the cup, bro. I'll take the cup. Not that bad of it. Not really a bad take. Just I'll take the cup. Jaws called it. Here's somebody that just 3 weeks ago said, Fluffy, it's time for the update. I think that's T-Jack K2. You can thank them for the idea to do this video. Vincent with probably the best comment I have seen in all of the videos combined. Vincent says, I think this was a good trade. Remember, this is day one, right? He says, I think this was a good trade for both teams. Hubie wanted to go back to Canada, and I assume he didn't want to re-sign here, or we didn't offer enough. Tkachuk is younger and honestly better than Huberdeau, and Tkachuk will help with our power play troubles, which he did. I think it was not bad at all. I think that was probably day one of the best takes there was. Richard says, excellent trade for Florida. Let's go Cats. This trade will either be really good or really bad, or really bad or really good. Yeah, exactly, right? More compliments on nailing the trade, right? Matthew with I Love Fluffy, who still should be sitting right there in front of me. Congrats from a Leafs fan. Jay Baker says the problem is Florida is gambling on Tkachuk getting better or staying the same. There's a possibility he decreases in production. He did not. He definitely did not. Ryan says, I think we maybe paid a little bit too much for him. I would have liked to have us. He would have liked to have us. Boy, I can't read. I would like to have seen us save the pick. That only took me 4 times. I get it. I get where some people think the first rounder, if we never win a cup, like maybe you could look at that first round and be like, damn, bro. But when you win the cup, it's like Bobrovsky's $10 million. We're good. We're good. M. Howard says, great trade. Hubie wants 10 to 10.5. No way. More compliments on predicting. And some Cuban says, so happy Uyghur is gone. Yellow Snowman says this trade was big for Tampa. Panthers got worse up front on the blue line. The Kitty Cats got fleeced. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Let's see. MJ says, I'm shocked. I never thought Tkachuk would be taking his talents to South Beach, a.k.a. Sunrise. Pretty cool. We will be seeing his dad in the stands quite a lot next season and the 6 seasons afterwards. Good call, MJ. Good call. Congratulations from a Calgary fan. Tkachuk is great. Loads of fun to watch. Let's see. Interesting take here from Oilers. She says, don't worry, Huberdeau will be back after next year. Right? And let's see. Another cheers from Calgary. I think that's one piece of gum left. Cheers from Calgary. Congrats on winning the Tkachuk lottery. As a Flames fan, it's frustrating that another star player didn't want to play here due to high taxes, too much scrutiny by fans and media, cold winter weather, a lot of long flights for away games, etc. Says, I doubt Huberdeau and Uyghur will be any different. So I think what he's saying here is he didn't think that they would want to stay. In the other videos, there's a lot of talk about the extensions and whatnot. I have 2 more videos after this. Terry Slaughter says, from a Hawks fan, it seems to me the Panthers gave up way too much for Tkachuk. Brendo Baggins says they should have kept Uyghur. Guy is criminally underrated. I don't know. He's not as bad as I think we made him out to be in Florida a little bit. This one I liked. Justin Boatwright says the top-heavy Atlantic Division has become even less top-heavy. I'm taking that as I think he means that was a bad trade for Florida. I'm assuming that means he thought Florida would fall from here. Yubidoki, I can't read it. I ain't putting my glasses on. Says, I don't get people who don't like the trade. Huberdeau will cost too much money and will be in his 30s rest of his contract. His playoffs were complete trash. The rumor partying after the big loss, who cares comment, etc., etc. Let's see. Lee Patty says, good move by both teams. Somebody wants to know if I'm Jimmy Kimmel. Jumbo Pin says this would have been decent without Huberdeau. Let's see. Wayne says, I'm not a fan of either team, and I'm blown away that Calgary got a boatload for Chucky. He says, I think Florida just shot themselves in the foot, but also if I'm Huberdeau, I'm not happy right now. One of that was correct. One of those was definitely correct. Another Jawstradamus predict. I don't think anybody's ever bought the Jawstradamus t-shirts, and that's okay. Let's see. Here's Gators Tim happy. Uyghur is gone. Uyghur is gone. Another fan happy to get rid of Uyghur. Another fan happy to get rid of Huberdeau. There was one more. New York fan says horrible trade for the Panthers. Couscous says fool. We got fleeced by Calgary. That's one of my favorite. I like that one. Lauren Milton says, not sure why you think Chucky will be better than Huberdeau. He only had 15 points in like 26 playoff games, and you're paying about $10 million for that. Have fun with that. I think we are. I think we did. I think we are. I think we did. And I think we might still have fun with that. And I think the last one I'll read on this video is All Out Metal. This is a long one, but I think this is a good way to end this one. Florida got fleeced. Let's keep it real, people. We have no clue how good MT is without Johnny Hockey. Let's not pretend he's going to be the playmaker that Johnny Hockey is. Plus, a first-rounder prospect and Mackenzie Weegar, WTF was Florida thinking? I know Matthew Tkachuk is an attractive winger, but Florida gave up too much. Is Florida really a better team? The contract is almost the same average. My opinion is that Florida should have kept what they had and stuck with the core and added some winners on the bottom six and give it some time like the Avs, Tampa, and Washington did. Dumbest effing move ever. Now, that's an example of a take that even though somebody else might leave the clown emoji with that take, no, because we have all given that take about one subject or another at some point in our internet history, and at some point we all could have gotten that clown emoji. So I say just put it in the back pocket. Save it. Now, there are two videos that aren't mine that I wanted to go over. This one's quicker. There was two more. This is the Hockey Guys video. Let me take a sip of water here. Please pause for station identification. This is the Hockey Guys video the morning of, might be that night of. Now, in his description, I'm not going to play what he said. In Hockey Guy's description says, I like this trade a lot for Calgary, though they need to get Huberdeau extended as soon as possible. Love you, Shannon, though you don't probably even know I exist. That's okay. The first comment is a month ago. Matthew Tkachuk and the Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup. Oh, that's Noah Cricket. That's beautiful. The next comment is this aged beautifully. Now, I'm looking at Eyes, who's a big fan of this channel, says amazing how this trade looks now. All right, so let's try to get into some of the older comments. Can't believe Tree Leaving pulled this off. What a haul for a guy the entire league knew wanted out of Calgary. A couple comments later, greatest trade in Florida Panthers history. Oh, but that's 1 month ago. Okay, I take that back. This is from 2 years ago. Incredible return for the Flames. I still can't believe the Panthers moved Huberdeau in the deal. This was a very prophetic take 2 years ago. This means the Tkachuk brothers are both now in the Atlantic Division. Could make some Ottawa versus Florida games, get a little spicy, good old sibling rivalry. On target. Absolutely. If If you watch nothing else, watch the Panthers Senators games. It is a boatload of fun. Okay. Ben Scott says, surprised they traded Huberdeau. This trade seems like a lateral move for Florida. Not a bad haul for Calgary. Definitely not lateral for Florida. Let's see. Here's a Florida fan. Here's hoping Tkachuk meshes well with Barkov, because if not, this is going to bite Florida hard. He does mesh well with Barkov, but he ended up actually not being on that line. Okay. Now here's something that comes up in a few comments I want to talk about. It says, even if Calgary can't extend Huberdeau or Weegar, they can flip them for picks or prospects, helping with the retool or rebuild that may be needed. Now there's a lot of comments here. I'm not going to read them all in terms of maybe the Flames should have flipped, especially Huberdeau. I think that as bad as this deal looks right now, look, no matter what, right? Panthers won the cup, they win the deal. That's it, unless Calgary comes out of nowhere, wins a cup with Huberdeau and Weegar. But as of now, there's no getting around it. Panthers won the deal. So if they had not, in hindsight now, if they had not re-signed Huberdeau and they had flipped Huberdeau for the assets that he might have been worth before the rest of the league figured out, oh, he was that player because of the players he was surrounded by in Florida. If they would have flipped him, then this trade could have turned out to be a lot more even. But because Calgary was in the situation of having lost Gaudreau and now Tkachuk, instead of doing a retool and a rebuild, they just kind of wanted to say, okay, Calgary thought they were doing what the Florida Panthers did, which was take an asset, turn it into different assets, and they thought they had a chance to win. The problem always was that Tkachuk was the one that wanted out of Calgary. So he forced the Flames' hand. So it wasn't something that the Flames really wanted to do, but they kind of had no choice. Where with the Panthers, it was more or less, we want to win, we feel like we're getting close, and we have this crazy opportunity where if we do something we really wouldn't want to do, which is give up all these assets, we can roll the dice on Matthew Tkachuk and see how it turns out. Zito rolled the dice, no doubt, and you've seen how it turned out. I can't say it without smiling. We see how it turned out. I just want to do a few more comments because I don't want this to get too long. Here's a good one. Bidon Agagu, I can't read it. It's absolute fleecing by Calgary. They could also either extend Huberdeau or they could flip him considering he's a pending UFA. So, yes, but the fleecing, no. The fleecing, no. But I understand, and let me say this. I understand, especially Flames fans, how they could sit there and think that they fleeced us. Couple of things. You got to look at Huberdeau, his points production that last season, the record amount of assists. Okay? Flames fans aren't going to be watching Panther hockey, so they don't know the intricacies of Huberdeau's game at that point. Management and the media definitely would. They all got the talking points. Like in politics, the media got the talking points of Huberdeau's going to be the guy. Huberdeau is the guy. They really tried to sell Huberdeau to the Flames fans that he was going to be a guy like Tkachuk, come in, change things, be a leader, take things over, and get them over the hump. Us Florida fans knew that wasn't never going to happen. You might have gotten some assets, but again, like I said, had the Flames just immediately flipped Huberdeau and saved themselves some cap space and got a bunch of assets for Huberdeau at that point, things could have been different for them, my opinion. I could go on here. There was one more, I think. Here's a good one. That's a positive one. I think Tkachuk is exactly what the Panthers need, right? Very good. And there was a few more here. Oh, one thing I want to bring up. I found this interesting. There were several comments that people said this reminded them of, quote, like some desperation moves that Vegas had been making recently. And there were a few comments like that. And I find that interesting because the next two teams to win the cup was Vegas and then Florida. So maybe those desperation moves, maybe sometimes they're not so bad. Got to take another sip. All right. Now this is the last one on this video I'm going to read, and then we'll do one more. This is from the Gourmet Golfer, and this is a take that I agree and disagree with. We'll just read it. Absolutely floored by this deal. Tree leaving made the absolute best of a terrible situation and deserves a ton of credit. At the moment the trade went down, I don't disagree with that. That being said, I get Florida's mindset. Tkachuk is 5 years younger, and he may have a higher ceiling with Huberdeau. If you consider his output at 24, Florida locked him up long-term at a reasonable price when you consider that Huberdeau will be looking at $10 million plus next year at 30 years old. There's also the question about about their core and whether they can compete with the big dogs in the East during the playoffs. Tkachuk is an impact guy in the postseason and might be the change Florida needs to take it to the next level. Bingo! I expected to get, at best, a top six forward, a prospect, and a first-rounder, similar to Buffalo's return for Eichel. Tkachuk for Huberdeau makes a ton of sense for Florida. Weegar and a first is where Florida lost this trade, but you don't lose trade that wins you a Stanley Cup. But in that moment, I understand that. Now, I'm going to go one more here real quick. This is, where is it? This is the Steve Dangle video. Again, I believe this is the morning of. So, here's one. The first comment is very interesting. If Huberdeau and Weegar re-sign, then this is an absolute fleece job. If not, and they flip them for solid assets at the deadline, then it's still a fleece job. No, but nah. The best this was ever going to be now is if the Flames had flipped Huberdeau for a bunch, and if the Panthers won the cup, you could call it kind of an even trade. I don't necessarily say that Florida fleeced them because they did get a bunch of assets, but I think the mistake was re-signing Huberdeau. That was the mistake. Instead of giving him all that money, management should have been neutral enough to know that I think we should probably trade Huberdeau. Just don't tell anybody, but I don't think he's as good as he kind of looks. Let's trade him real quick for assets before anything happens. That would have been the smart thing to do. That would have had a chance of making this trade a little bit more even. But again, once Florida wins the cup, that's it. There's a couple more here that I wanted to go through. This is interesting. As an Oilers fan, I hate to see the Flames get screwed like this. The rivalry was finally competitive again. I'm glad they did as well as this and hope they finish a strong second place this season. So basically, it's an Oilers fan going, come on, we had a thing going. And now you got rid of Tkachuk. And yeah, so I kind of like that one. Let's see. This is an interesting comment. This person is talking about what Dangle was saying on the podcast. And he says, you mentioned that Florida got swept, but then you're wowed by two of the players most responsible for the team getting swept and bullied also by Washington. And that's a true statement, is that in Calgary's excitement and in some people's excitement, they forgot the reason why the Panthers even considered making this deal, which was we barely got past Washington. I know we won in 6, but we got bullied. And then Tampa just beat the crap out of us 4-0. Okay. There's a few people talking about Elias Lindholm here. Let's see. Somebody a year ago says, well, now we know Florida didn't fleece Calgary, right? Okay. This aged like cheese. Let's see if there's a couple more here. Let's see. This person says they massively won that trade, talking about Calgary. They massively won that trade. Also, if Huberdeau alone resigns, they still won the trade. Tkachuk wasn't even the highest scoring player on his line. He's far more likely to drop off to back to a point a game without Gaudreau than Huberdeau to not be dominant as the best player on Calgary. Woo! I think we'll leave it there. I think we'll just leave that there. That was long enough. The bottom line here is, and I'll wrap it up back upstairs, but lots of people had lots of opinions. I either got incredibly lucky or somebody in the Flames or Panthers organization watched my video on Thursday and said, hey, this is the deal. Watch the dude. The dude in the sleeveless shirt. He's got the deal. One of those. To this day, I still can't help but giggle. And I don't know, maybe one day after making videos for 20 years, Bill Zito will feel comfortable enough sitting down with me and answering. Like, did you see that video? Maybe, maybe not. That's okay. It's all right. I'm happy the way it turned out, and I suspect most Panther fans are as well.
All right, so that was fun. So what have we learned today, Panther fans? Well, we've learned if Jaws is angry, ask him if he's taken any drugs, and then if he has, ask him the lottery numbers. I wish it worked that way. I wish it worked in a way that I could control it, right? But if you've watched the recaps over the years, I mean, we all lost track how many times I come after the first period and be like, damn it, Ekblad, shoot the puck. And then like 2 minutes into the second period, he takes a shot and there's a goal. We've seen that happen, but I can't fake it. It has to be a natural thing. If I think I'm going to go in there and yell at Barkov, if I'm thinking that, it don't work. But when I'm in here going blah, 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 if it just comes out that way, that's the stuff that happens. So we've learned that. The other thing I think we've learned here is something that I've talked about before, which is when people give other people, commenters on the internet, when they give them hell for somebody's opinion, that's a bad take. The clown emoji. That is the one that just drives me bonkers because, look, I got almost 3,000 videos on this channel. You could probably go back into at least half of them and be like, Joss said what? If we talk, you're going to have opinions that end up to be wrong. I mean, all of us. So all of us have had bad takes. All of us have had good takes. So I'm not a fan of the fighting that goes on in the comment sections of you're an idiot, you're a moron, you're a clown, all of that, because somebody voices an opinion. Because there were a couple people that kind of would have thought, Uyghur and Huberdeau and a first, people that thought the first was too much. There's always going to be a variance of opinions. And what I would say is it's opinions. If somebody's opinion gets proven right or wrong, then it's fair to go back and be like, that was bad, this aged bad. That's fine. But in the moment, I'm not a fan of the fighting that happens, like I said, especially the clown emoji. Because to me, the clown emoji is somebody just leaves that so that in their mind it appears that they won the argument, but they never even laid out an argument. They're just, you're a clown, and walked away. I think that says more about the person leaving the emoji than the person, whoever made the comment that they thought deserved the clown emoji. You get what I'm saying. Long story short is that's going to be my platform. Let's see, it's 2024. So I got to get another couple of dogs because the president needs to have dogs. So 2028, I'll run for president, and my platform will be, doesn't matter how extreme you are, on what side, we can all agree the Panthers won the Matthew Tkachuk trade.